Hello guys, last week we did a punctuation quiz. Most of you did not do well in it, and some of you were claiming that it has some mistakes and it doesn't have any mistake. So I'll be a student right now and I'll answer the quiz that you did. So let's do it together. Just make sure that you have a pen and a paper handy so you can jot down anything worthwhile. The first part here, 3 candidates have filled for the new commission seat. This is an independent clause, because here it starts with the subject, which is 3 candidates. It doesn't have any subordinating conjunction, so this is an independent clause. And then all of them have experience in public office. So here I have another independent clause, and we said before, whenever we're having 2 independent clauses, you can join them using a semicolon. So this structure is correct. So no change is the correct answer. Let's do the second question. So we said here, no change. The second question here, let's analyze the question. The speech was long and repetitious. This is an independent clause. And for those who don't know what an independent clause, it's a clause that can't stand on its own. Like for example, when I say I went to school. All right, and then I have consequently, which is a conjunctive adverb. And then people in the audience began fidgeting in their seats and whispering among themselves. So starting from people until themselves, this is another independent clause. If you studied the types of sentences, you will know that whenever there's a conjunctive adverb joining 2 independent clauses, you must use a semicolon before and a comma after. So before consequently, there must be a semicolon, and after consequently, there must be a comma because it joins 2 independent clauses. So let's check which of these answers is correct. Here, semicolon before consequently, but there is a missing comma after consequently. So this one is wrong. The second one here, comma and comma before and after consequently, and this is wrong as well, because here it joins 2 independent clauses. Here I use the semicolon before the conjunctive adverb and a comma after the conjunctive adverb, which is the same as this one. So this one is correct. So here, where's the correct answer? We said semicolon before the conjunctive adverb, comma after the conjunctive adverb. So this is the correct answer. Number 3, I wish I was like Miss Ernest, helpful, understanding, and encouraging. So this is an independent clause. Then after the independent clause, what did he do? He introduced the list. He says helpful, understanding, and encouraging. And we said before, guys, if you remember, whenever you're introducing a list, you must use a colon. Independent clause, and then a colon, and then introduce your list. And if you remember, we said before and in the list, we do not use a comma. So instead of this comma, we need a colon. So where's the correct answer? No change is wrong because it's a comma. And then here it's a semicolon. And we cannot introduce a list with a semicolon. We only introduce a list with a colon. So this one is wrong as well. And here, he used a period, so wrong. So this is the only correct answer because he used a colon. So whenever you're introducing a list, make sure that you introduce the list. Make sure to introduce the list using a colon. And don't forget, we do not use a comma before the and in the list. Let's go to the let's go to the next question. So here, where's the correct answer? This one. Central America comprises 7 countries. And then he started listing the countries. Here, his listing again. He said Central America comprises 7 countries, and then he started listing the countries. Here, he's introducing a list. And we said, whenever you're introducing a list, you need to use a colon before the list. So which option introduces a list here? No change is wrong because he does not use any punctuation mark before the list. While here, yes, he used the colon, but he did not use a colon after the countries, after compromises. And I cannot use a colon after compromises because Central America compromises what? 7 countries. And I cannot use a colon after a verb. You need to use a colon after the whole clause. After the independent clause, you can use a colon. While this one, he used a semicolon. It's incorrect as well because I cannot introduce a list using a semicolon. While the last one here, he used the colon and he used it in the correct place. So the red one is the correct answer. So let's pick it. Those hanging lamps are the most popular kind, inexpensive, available in many colors, and easy to install. So for the third time, what is the author doing here? He's introducing a list. So those hanging lamps are the most popular kind. This is an independent clause, and then he started to list. They are inexpensive, available in many colors, and easy to use. So what did he use here? He used the colon to introduce the list. So this one is correct. So no change is the correct answer. All right, number 8. The pilot has the final exam in the morning. So this is an independent clause. And then he couldn't sleep all night. This is another independent clause. And we said whenever we have 2 independent clauses, you can use a semicolon to set them off, or you can use a comma and any of the fan boys. So let's check which one do we have here. No change here. He did not use anything, so he used two independent clauses right after each other. And we said before, using two independent clauses right after each other, this is wrong and it's called a run-on. All right, and this is grammatically incorrect. So no change is wrong. The second one here, he said the pilot has the final exam tomorrow. He couldn't sleep all night. He used a comma here. So he used a comma to join two independent clauses. I cannot use a comma to introduce two independent clauses. Mister, you said before we can use a comma and a fanboy. Yes, I said a comma and a fanboy, but using a comma only, this is incorrect. All right. The third one here, the pilot had the final exam in the morning. This is an independent clause. And then semicolon, and then he couldn't sleep all night. So this is correct. Two independent clauses join with a semicolon. So the correct box is the orange box. Let's do number 8. Louisa felt a great sense of accomplishment. This is an independent clause. And then the second part, she had successfully developed and printed her first roll of film. This is another independent clause. And again, guys, for those who forgot what's meant by an independent clause is a clause that has a subject and a verb. So here I have a subject, Louisa, and then felt, which is a verb. I have a new subject and a new verb, so this is why I have a new independent clause. Did the author use anything here between the two independent clauses? No, he did not use anything between the two independent clauses. And we said before, if you join two independent clauses without any punctuation mark in the middle, it's a mistake and it's called a run-on. So no change, of course it's wrong. And then here, what did he do? He did not do anything. He left them without any punctuation. So this is a run-on, and again, it's wrong. What did he use here? He used a comma. If you remember using a comma to join two independent clauses, we said it's wrong and it's called a splice. So here, what did he use? He used a colon. So using a colon here is the only correct answer. Number 9. The first part, she always spoke softly. This is subject and a verb, so this is independent clause. And then the other part, we had to listen closely to hear. We had to listen closely to hear her. This is independent clause. I have a new subject and a new verb. Again, we said, guys, if you remember, two independent clauses right after each other. Is this correct? Of course not. This is called a run-on and grammatically incorrect. So no change is wrong. And then the second one here, she always spoke softly. This is an independent clause, as we said. And then he used the semicolon. And then we had to listen closely to hear her. This is another independent clause. So this is correct. Number 10. This one was a little bit confusing, and I'll tell you why right now. Let's analyze it together. The director of the film, this is the subject, all right? Do I know what happened to the director of the film? No. Still, I did not introduce the verb. So I said, like, for example, if I said Mohamed, so yeah, what happened to him? I have no idea. So this is the subject. The director of the film is the subject. Where's the verb? Still, I don't know where the verb is. I can't recall his name, so this is extra information. He's telling you that he cannot recall his name, so this is extra information. Why is it extra information? Because I can say here, the director of the film said that there would be a sequel. So I can cross out this part. I can cross it out. Let's cross it out right now and let's read the sentence again and check whether it will make sense or not. The director of the film said that there would be a sequel. So this is the subject, this is the verb, so I can say it without this part. And we said whenever the information is extra, you can use two commas to set them off, or you can use paired dashes. So we said this part, I can't recall his name, and this is non-essential or extra information. And we said whenever we have extra information, you can use two commas to set it off, or you can use two dashes. Let's check the options here. So here he used two commas. So this one is correct, and this one is correct as well. All right, question number 4. Let's mark it up together. She added an unusual ingredient to the chicken soup. So this is an independent clause. Why? Because there is a subject and a verb. And then the unusual ingredient was parsnips. So the unusual ingredient, this is the subject, and then I have a new verb, so this is an independent clause. Whenever I have two independent clauses right after each other, this is wrong, and it's called a run-on. So no change is wrong. What did he do here? He used a semicolon between soup and the unusual, so as if he used a semicolon here. So can I use a semicolon between two independent clauses or not? Yes, so this is the correct answer. This one is a little bit mixing up as well. The truth is, And you probably already know this. We can't finish the project on time. So here the truth is my subject and is my verb here. So the truth is what? I have no idea. And you probably already know this. So, and you probably already know this. This is again extra information. And we said before, whenever you're having non-essential or extra information, you must use 2 commas or 2 dashes to set them off. So if you cross this part from the sentence will still make sense. Like I can say, the truth is, we can't finish the project on time. So it makes sense without this part. So we said before, whenever we're having any extra information, what are we going to do? You can use 2 commas or 2 dashes. So let's check which one has 2 dashes or 2 commas. No change, it's wrong. Because we said this is extra information and it needs 2 commas or 2 dashes. The first one here, he used a dash and a comma. Wrong. Why, mister? You have just said 2 dashes or 2 commas. Yes, I said 2 dashes or 2 commas, but I cannot use a mix between them. So if the second part was a dash, it would have been correct. What about this one here? He used only 1 dash. So this one is wrong as well. So here he used 2 dashes. This is the first one and this is the second one. So the red one is the only correct answer. Take a mixing bowl and gather the following. It's obvious here he's listing, and we said whenever you're listing you must use a colon. So which one here uses a colon? No change, it's wrong. Here he used a colon and then he introduced the list. So the correct answer is the green. So this is the correct answer. Number 13. Thomas Wires, a 12-year-old boy, is the CEO of his own smartphone apps corporation. This is my subject. And then a 12-year-old boy. This is extra information because I can say Thomas Wires is the CEO of his own smartphone company. And we said before, whenever you're having any extra information, you need to use 2 commas or 2 dashes to set them off. So no change here is wrong, because he did not use any commas or any dashes. What about the second one here? A 12-year-old boy is the CEO. He used 2 commas here, but he did not use the second comma in the right place, because the extra information here is a 12-year-old is the main verb, so I cannot use a comma before it. So this part is the only part that is non-essential. It's the only part that I can cross out and the sentence will and the sentence will still make sense. Like I can say Thomas Wires is the CEO. So a 12-year-old boy, this is the extra information. This is the extra information that we are going to set it off using 2 commas. So the yellow box, so the orange box is the correct answer. Number 14. Raphael looked through his collection of movies for his favorite one. He picked Lord of the Rings. Let's analyze the sentence quickly. Raphael looked through his collection of movies for his favorite one. This is an independent clause. And then he said he picked Lord of the Rings. So this is another independent clause. If you remember, guys, we said 2 independent clauses using the semicolon. This is correct. So no change is correct. So I won't continue reading the rest of the answers because this one is already correct. Number 15. The young girl heard a loud noise in the hallway. So the young girl heard a loud noise in the hallway. This is independent clause. And then she investigated it carefully. So this is another independent clause. And again, for the 15th time, 2 independent clauses without anything in the middle. This is wrong and it's called a run-on. So no change is wrong. We can use a semicolon, we can use a comma and a fanboy, or we can use a conjunctive adverb as we did before in some questions. So let's check the second one here. The young girl heard a loud noise in the hallway. That's an independent clause. And then she investigated it carefully. This is another independent clause and he used a semicolon here. So 2 independent clauses joined with a semicolon. This is correct. Number 16. I went to school by bus and entered from the back gate. Let's analyze the sentence. I went to school by bus and entered from the back gate. Here I have a subject and then a verb and then I have and. One might tell me, mister, there is a missing comma here because this is a compound sentence. I have a fanboy in the middle and it joins 2 independent clauses. No. And here is not joining 2 independent clauses because and here is joining 2 verbs that you entered and you went. So I do not need any commas here because and is joining two verbs. If and is joining two independent clauses, I would have used a comma here. Check out this example. If I said, I went to school by bus and I entered from the back gate. If it was like this, it would have been correct, and I need to use a comma here. Mister, they are the same. No, they are not the same. Check it out. I went to school by bus. This is an independent clause because here there is a subject and there is a verb. The other side here is an independent clause as well because there is a new subject and there is a verb. So this is an independent clause and this is an independent clause. So if this is the case, you must use a comma before the fanboy. But here, and is not joining two independent clauses. I don't have a subject here. And here is joining two verbs that you entered and you went. So this one, it's a simple sentence because it has only one independent clause and that's it. So which one is the correct answer? No change is the correct answer. I don't need any. All right, number 17. Which sentence uses commas correctly? Let's check it out. First of all, no, if you remember when we discussed the uses of the commas, no here is an intro phrase, so you must use a comma after no because it's an intro phrase. So it's either this one or this one. This one is wrong because we do not use a comma here. So now let's check the other part of the sentence. I can't play today because my mom told me to clean my room. So because my mom told me to clean my room, this is dependent clause. And I can't play today, this is an independent clause. For those who forgot what a dependent clause is a clause that has a subordinating conjunction, and because is a subordinating conjunction. So this is why it's a dependent clause. Whenever I have independent clause and then a dependent clause, you can join them right after each other without any punctuation mark. So the blue one is the correct answer. All right, which sentence uses commas correctly? Jake, my black and white cat, loves to sleep on the couch next to me. So here, Jake is my subject, and then he gave me extra information about his cat. So this is extra information, and if you remember, whenever we're using any extra information, we must use two commas or two dashes. Jake, my black and white cat, loves to sleep. And again, how do I know that this is extra information? Cross it out and check the sentence. Can you continue the sentence without this information or not? Yes, I can say Jake loves to sleep on the couch next to me. So it means that this is extra information. So what is the correct answer? It's using two commas to set them off. So this one is correct. Which sentence uses commas correctly? As I rode my bike down the street, I saw my friends riding her scooter. As is a subordinating conjunction, so I cannot use a comma. It's not an intro phrase. I cannot use a comma after as because it forms a dependent clause. This part is a dependent clause. And again, what's meant by dependent clause? Dependent clause, it means it's a clause that cannot stand on its own. Like for example, when I tell you, after I saw you, and then I stop, does it make sense? Are you going to tell me, yes, mister, after you saw me, what happened? You're still looking for more information. So when I use a subordinating conjunction at the beginning of the clause, it means that this clause is a dependent clause. All right. So the first part is a dependent clause, and we said we do not use a comma after the subordinating conjunction. We use the comma after the whole clause. Where's the whole clause? As I rode my bike down the street, this is the dependent clause. So here there must be a comma. So here there must be a comma. So which one does not use a comma after the conjunctive adverb and it used the comma after the dependent clause? We said number one, it's wrong because he used the comma here. Number two, as I rode my bike down the street, this is the dependent clause. So I must stop here and use a comma. So here it's wrong as well because he did not use a comma correctly. As I rode my bike down the street, yes, this is the dependent clause. And then I saw my friend riding her scooter. This is an independent clause. So whenever we have a dependent clause and then an independent clause, we said you must use a comma after the dependent clause. So we said this one is wrong and this one is wrong as well. This one is correct. The orange one is the only correct answer. Finally, number 20. All right, this one is easy, but it's a little bit mixing up. Even though people don't think I'm shy, I am. So this is the first clause and this is the second clause. This is the first clause, this is the second one. All right, let's analyze the clauses. The first one here, is it dependent or independent? It's a dependent clause. Why, Mr. Is it dependent clause? Because I have even though, and we said even though is a subordinating conjunction. And whenever the clause has a subordinating conjunction, it's a dependent clause. And then I am. One might tell me, Mr. I am is not a clause. No, it is a clause because there is a subject and there is a verb. So this is an independent clause. And if you remember what we said before, we said whenever the sentence starts with a dependent clause, you must use a comma and then the independent clause. So let's check which one did this. The first one here, even though, and then he used a comma after even though, and we said this is wrong. We cannot use a comma after the subordinating conjunction. And then here, even though people don't think I'm shy, I'm shy. So here he did not use anything. So this one is wrong as well. Even though people don't think I'm shy, I am. Mr. Someone might tell me, Mr. This is correct. No, it's incorrect. Mr. You said before that we can use a semicolon to join two independent clauses. Yes, we can use a semicolon to join two independent clauses. But my question is this an independent clause? We said this is a dependent clause because it starts with even though, so this is a dependent clause. So I cannot use a semicolon with a dependent clause. It's wrong. I cannot do this. So the last one is the only possible answer because here, even though people don't think I'm shy, this is a dependent clause. I am, which is an independent clause, and then he used a comma after the dependent clause. So the last one here is the correct answer. I hope you understood, guys. Please, if you still have a question, text me privately. If you want me to redo it in Arabic, text me and I'll send you another video in Arabic. Please reattempt the quiz and text me with your score. And please, guys, do not memorize the answers. Understand each and every question. Yallah, bye bye.